Hello and welcome back to the St. Joseph videos. It is incredible that we're almost all the way through this year of St. Joseph. It's already September. I can't believe everything that we've learned and how we've grown in a deeper devotion to St. Joseph. If you haven't watched any of the previous videos, I highly recommend that you do. It's been a lot of great conversations and a lot of new things that I've personally learned that have helped me on my journey with my relationship with God, but also my relationship with St. Joseph. Those are all available on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Vimeo, and also on our website. If you haven't read the Apostolic letter by Pope Francis, I also highly suggest that you read that. It's really short and has a lot of really incredible things to pray through and to pray with in this year of St. Joseph. It's not too late to start, to have a devotion to him, and to have a relationship with him. This month, I am joined by Father Garrett. Thank you for joining me, and also, welcome to the parish. You've been here for a couple months. Thank you for your ministry and for your yes to, being a priest.
Thank you.
And the way that I start out all my videos, it's my favorite question is, Who is St. Joseph to you? Have you always had this devotion to him, or is it something kind of new?
St. Joseph, to me, I like to look at the symbols that he carries in statues. The first symbol is the lily. The lily is white as a sign of purity. And I really feel that in this time in particular, there is a renewal of chastity, or a renewal of a desire to be chaste in our society. And I find it really encouraging in this year of St. Joseph that we have St. Joseph who carries this lily, this white lily, a sign of chastity for all of us who desire to be chaste. Chastity is not simply a vocation or a calling for priests and religious. Every vocation, including marriage, including single people, are called to be chaste throughout their whole life. We have St. Joseph who, through his whole life, remained a virgin along with Mary, and through this special way of living chastity, they were able to better serve Jesus and to help him as he approached his years of ministry. And then the other symbol that he carries is a square, and sometimes a saw, that is a symbol of his work. While he was taking care of the Holy Family, he also worked. Something that did not distract from his vocation to support Jesus, to support Mary, but something that gave life to the rest of his life. All of us who work isn't simply a drudgery. It's something that gives meaning throughout the aspects of our life. Specifically, St. Joseph in my devotion started in seminary. In seminary, almost all the guys want and pursue a devotion and a relationship with St. Joseph, especially now that Father Calloway released his book. Just as people are coming to Mary in a special way, now all the seminarians are also coming to St. Joseph to ask him for continual help in their vocation. I think for seminarians and priests, St. Joseph gives the most excellent example of fatherhood. And it's amazing, people call us Father, not in an empty way, but in a full and rich way. That is, we're called to give life to the parish. And St. Joseph was able to give life to the Holy Family throughout his whole life. And so I see St. Joseph as very important in my vocation and supporting me not only in fatherhood, but also in chastity, that I can lay down my life for a parish just as he laid down his life for the Holy Family.
Yeah, that's incredible. St. Joseph, is a great intercessor for all aspects of our life, whether that's our work or our school or, our spiritual life. And he's just always there as a protector and someone who desires us to have that close relationship with Jesus, but also with Mary, his wife. And just, now is the start of the new school year. We're going back to fall. It's, a new chapter in people's lives. All these students are going back to their vocation as a student. And when I was in college, I had devotions to different saints, and unfortunately, it wasn't St. Joseph, but you said that you started to have this devotion to St. Joseph when you were in seminary. Did you have a different saint maybe that was also your, saint friend during school?
My greatest saint friend was Mary. And I think for seminarians, there's something about the motherhood of Mary that gives a constant support and protection. Seminarians are in need of help just as much, perhaps even more than other people, to discern clearly the will of God in their life, to stay focused on formation that is trying to be a good priest, a good father to other people. So Mary was always, I would say, first in terms of friendship, devotion with the saints. And my other saint friends, I would say they're almost all Carmelites. With Saint Therese of Lisieux, she gives such an awesome witness to humility, and then Saint Teresa of Avila giving an awesome witness to strength and vigorous ministry. She pursued her vocation with much gumption. She was trying to change the world, and she gives a great example of strength to me. And St. Joseph, I think I realize more now that his example of work, and especially in this year of St. Joseph, where I've become especially cognizant of him, that he has a special grace for me now. I'm still studying, and he, as the worker, St. Joseph the worker, can bless my work of study and can bless my work here at the parish. I think also, especially in this new school year, St. Joseph is very important. He gives us an example of humility and adaptability. I think in this year of pandemic, there's frustration, there's a lot of change, and many people are going through hardship, if not almost all of us. St. Joseph had to be very flexible in his own life. He had to travel through the desert into Egypt when he found out that leadership in his hometown were trying to kill his son. And so immediately he had to pack up his family, and they didn't own much. Nevertheless, he took his family through the wilderness to bring them to Egypt. So I think he gives us this example of somebody who's acquainted with suffering, somebody who went through hardship. I think as we go through hardship this year, because we're still in the midst of a lot of conflict, a lot of hardship, that St. Joseph is right there with us. He's no stranger to discomfort. So I think that's a beautiful example he gives us.
Yeah, I wish that I had a strong devotion to St. Joseph when I was in school. I was in a household which is like a Catholic sorority, and we had devotion to the Sacred, Immaculate, and Most Chaste Hearts. So that was a lot of where my prayer was for intercession and helping me with studying and exams, and just, the classic life of school and being a student and living my vocation well, while also having balance in the rest of my life. And I think that we really see that in the life of the Holy Family, having the balance of work and play and also education. And the website that you shared with me from Pope Paul VI, who went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land in 1964, I think, and it was like one of the first times that a pope had gone back there, and just wanting to be close to the Holy Family, be close to Jesus, and grow in that. And specifically, he talked a lot about the school of silence. And so what does the school of silence mean to you, but also what does that pilgrimage that this pope went on mean to you in your spiritual life?
What's interesting to me about that pilgrimage, his advisors told him not to go. They said it was not dignified for a pope to travel to another land, that if anything, people should travel to him, since he's the greatest figure, perhaps, in Catholicism, or at least the most dignified in their mind. Pope Paul VI got around this by telling them that he wasn't going as the pope, but rather as a pilgrim. somebody who wanted to come to know Jesus more closely. And he wanted to do that by going to the same place where the Holy Family had walked, where St. Joseph had walked, Mary, and Jesus. The Holy Family walked through the Holy Land without much fanfare. They were poor. They didn't own much. They often had to travel from city to city. So they give us an example of a people that, even though as Catholics we have this great tradition, we have this great heritage, that we can go through life humbly like they did, not lording our great heritage over people, but coming humbly to them, to the world as servants. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the most graced people on earth, the most dignified people on earth, were also the people with the least amount of outward signs of their dignity. So this is beautiful for us in our vocation of evangelization, that we can go into the world humbly, without outward signs, and serve people with the inward gifts that God gives us. That is a gift for love of others, a gift of service. Jesus wants to give each of us the grace to lay down our lives for others, just as Joseph, St. Joseph, laid down his life for others, his entire life. And all of this was done in a very mundane way. That is, Jesus lived 30 years of his life simply being present with his family, perhaps supporting Joseph at work, helping his mother clean up the house. This is a great sign for us that our lives, when they're at their most boring, are still dignified, that Jesus is present with us in those simple moments, and that he wants to give us great joy, great peace, great beauty in the moments that are most simple.
Yeah, and in the mundane and simplicity, or even, getting into that routine of like, this is what I do on Mondays now that, school is back in session, and I only have the weekends for like my own free time to do whatever I want. How in this, going back into what some people might consider the boring routine of being a student again, and, living out our vocation as a student while still having that joy and love that we get from a relationship with God, how can we also live out the gospel and live out this school of silence?
This motto that was over my seminary, and it was, trust in the providence of God that brought you here. To me, this speaks to our students, it speaks to those who are returning to work, it speaks to me as a priest who's learning about a parish, that no matter where God brings us, and no matter what difficult situation we're encountering, that we can trust that God is bringing us to that specific point for a reason. We may not know the grace that God has in store for us at that particular moment, but we will find out later, whether that be the day we meet God, whether that be 20, 30 years from now, that God had a very specific plan for us and a very specific grace that he wanted to give us in each moment. St. Joseph was the father of Jesus. He had this great plan. God has a plan for each of us, bringing us to school, trying to get through a pandemic, trying to go to work, trying to take care of our families. God is present in all of these, very specifically working in our lives so that we can come to know him and bring that same love to other people.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's easier said than done, especially when, we get all caught up in the mundane moments of life, or when it just seems like we're in this monotonous routine and nothing is new and nothing is seemingly beautiful or life-giving. But it's in those moments of simplicity that we see God more clearly and see his plan and providence. And I know I didn't have this question in the questions I gave you beforehand, but going into this new school year and you still being a student, do you have one piece of advice to give to students? Maybe they're starting a new school or going into their last year in college or last year in high school. Any pieces of advice to live out the gospel while being a student?
I think in this year of St. Joseph, he had a special vocation to nurture Jesus and bring him into the world. And I think for each of us, especially for students and myself as well, we're nurturing something within us. We're nurturing a life within us, a life that Jesus wants to give us. And St. Joseph is a great support for us. He wants to help us along our way. But God has great gifts in store for us right now. He wants to give us that life, not only so that we can come to know him, to love him, to live with him forever, but also so that we can be prepared to announce that same love to the world. So I think the way we do that is just by staying close to the church, where we find more evidently the love of God and that way which he is entering into the world to bring us his grace, and then bring that same message to others who are yearning for meaning, who are yearning for the peace of God in their life.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you so much for being our guest this month on the St. Joseph Reflections. It was a lot of learning for me, and hopefully everyone else can get something out of this as well. So thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you.
Of course. And like always, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Watch our videos on our website, on Vimeo. Yes, please support us on all of our social media channels. We make this content for you to enjoy and hopefully help you on your journey with God. Next month, we will also have an incredible speaker come and be here with me for our next discussion. It's not going to be one that you're going to want to miss. Thank you and God bless.